everyone. Welcome to today's Facebook Live session. This is episode 3 of my Facebook Live series on the topic 4 Key Tools for Success. This FB Live series is spread over 4 episodes. In case you have missed the previous episodes, you can watch it in the video section of this page. Like we discussed earlier, we all need various tools to do our work effectively and be more productive. Let me introduce you to these 4 tools that, when done right, can bring about immense change and make you highly productive. The series is useful for entrepreneurs who are at various stages of their business. The session will act as a reminder and refresher for young startups who are looking to set the ball rolling. The session will give you multiple tips on making the right move. For corporate employees, the series and the discussed 4 tools will help you sharpen your effectiveness by making you maximize your potential and make you highly productive. And students can learn to stay ahead of the curve and make the most of their skills and time. Before we move ahead, a bit about me. As you all now know, my name is Rashie Sinha. I'm a productivity coach and trainer. I have 20 years of corporate experience where my key area of work was to launch new business verticals and take them to business success, as in make them a revenue generating contributor to the organization. Over last 4 years, I started my entrepreneur journey, and I now work with a lot of young companies, SMEs, and startups where I help them build their growth and tell them various ways of increasing productivity. I also act as a business trainer to organizations where I train on various skills. Well, this particular series is an example of one of the various modules I do. I do training on leadership, team building workshops, workshop on business skills like implementation of business strategy, compliance workshop like POSH. So, presenting today's episode topic 4 Key Tools for Success, and this is episode 3 where we are going to talk about discipline. And is included in the entire series is like this. So, in this 4 episode series, we would talk about goal setting, time management, discipline, and stress management. These topics seem generic. However, there is a method of using them well, and when done right, lead to great results. The entire series is structured in a manner to give you specific takeaway points for each tool that you can implement in your work life, and they work very well even in your personal life. Of course, the discussion will focus on tips and overview on the topic. So, this is how the series has been panned out and structured. We began the series on 10th January, where we covered goal setting. Last week, we understood time management better and had shared tips to manage yourself better in a given time. Today, we will cover discipline, and finally, on 31st January, we will talk about stress management. The reason I chose this topic for the series because uh, we, with the new year setting in, all are looking for a fresh start and plan new things. These tips will help you do just that. For any new beginning, we first need to have goals. To attain those goals, one need to work on time management and to continue staying on track. discipline is required, and then at times in life, we tend to feel overwhelmed, hence, stress management becomes very important. Like I just mentioned, the series will have multiple tips that you can immediately implement in your life. However, there is more. The tips which you will learn over here through these series are more of self help or a peek into what can be done with these tools. Post this series, which is the Facebook Live series, I will be getting into a guided coaching session on the topic where you can register and I will handhold you through the entire process. First, I would suggest work with this shared tip so that you have a ready mindset to dive deeper when the detailed course is launched post this 4 episode series. So let's begin today's session, which is on discipline. What we will cover here is first we'll talk about what does definition of discipline is, what does it mean? Then we would understand the why behind the discipline. Then we would talk about dividing discipline into two major areas of implementation, one being self discipline, and the other one is discipline at work. You need to understand that until unless you're disciplined yourself, that is, the discipline begins from you, discipline in other areas, especially work, will not happen. Hence, we will understand these points better, and then we will have something called sticking it out, which would be the action points, because there are a lot of things which can be discussed in theory, but we need to understand how to ensure practical actionable points when it comes to this topic. So let's begin by first understanding the definition. So I like I always do, I research and look up the best definition possible so that it covers a larger spectrum, and this is what I did this time also. So the word discipline comes from a Latin word which literally means to instruct, which means to bring under control and train in habits and obedience. So, basically, to instruct our own self to behave in a particular manner. And when we are talking about discipline, in a structured manner. So, our habits form our environment. So, when we are able to work in a structured manner, discipline is a habit. So when we are able to do that, we tend to e- extract more from ourselves and from our surrounding. So it is about working in an orderly manner with mutual respect for everyone around us, and personally have the confidence. So discipline is more like a systematic structure that will help people when followed to attain lot of things. It won't be wrong to say this is kind of a code of conduct which we have to follow to do better. Moving on, let's start with a quote. This is the importance of discipline. You can create goals, you can plan a lot of things. However, if you want to accomplish them, you need a bridge, and that bridge is discipline. We learned about goal setting in the first episode and understood the concept of smart goal techniques. We understood the way to create more space, that is, manage self better, that we can get more time to work on the goals we have set. Now it is time for action. And action creates the impact when it has, you know, there are specific methods developed on working on those goals. When there is consistency, this can be done only when we have discipline. So, like I promised earlier, let's understand why we need to be disciplined. So, here are some of the tips which I would like to offer. Practicing discipline brings harmony and order. It teaches an individual to be accountable and to display respect both for self and others. It facilitates a positive human action in order to enhance the humanity in general, and making it more straightforward place for at work or in our personal environment. We need to put in our head together if we are working on a particular area. Hence concentration is required, and when we have structure, we have discipline, the concentration becomes better. And when we are able to do that, we are able to attract success and accomplish things which we have set out to do. When things are going our way and we are able to stay in a structured environment, follow code of conduct, we know how we are going to behave, we know what is the overall behavior of people, we are not second guessing them. It leads to a calmness in our mind and hence better mental health. And it also does that when there is no unnecessary surprises, or we don't know uh, the behavior of the other person, it can lead to chaos. However, when we understand the structure better, we know what is expected of us, what we are supposed to do, which direction we need to move in, and the same is understood about our environment and people around us, we tend to be more productivity, and that provides us stability and structure. Because when you are disciplined, you have to work in a particular format which brings about a structure and a kind of a formation which everybody follows. And when you do that, you tend to free time up to indulge in more different kind of activities. Another interesting quote which I would like to present to you is, um, nothing important is ever achieved without discipline. That is the importance discipline has. Think of any leader you follow or look up to, they all have something in common, which is discipline. That is why this is such an important topic, and it is so important for us to ensure that we are on this path. Now, when we have spoken about the basics and the importance, we also want to understand now how do we achieve it. We achieve it by working on two areas. One is self discipline, and the other is discipline at work. So we will cover both the topics separately because one leads to the other and other influences the first. So first we would talk about self discipline, and there is another quote that I have for you over here. Self discipline is the number one factor which differentiates between the rich, the middle class, and the poor. Well, I just told you that think of the leader or a successful person you look up to, and think about others in the same bracket. You would see discipline as a common factor between all of them. Hence, it is important to practice self discipline, but it is also important to know how to do that. So, that is what I will be teaching you today. I'll be sharing with you tips so that you can achieve self discipline. The first thing, if you want to remain disciplined, is know your weakness. When you know what is your weakness, you can find ways to overcome them. You can find, the via media, or you can look to work on your strengths. It's very easy to get into the zone, but I can't do this. That's the easiest thing to do. However, when you know, all right, this is my weakness, what's my way around? What is my strength? Let me strengthen my strength. That will ensure that your weakness doesn't come in way of achieving what you have set out to do. Stay hydrated and healthy and rest well. I cannot emphasize enough on this, because when you are not hydrated, you are unable to concentrate. And when that happens, discipline will go outside the window. So it's important to keep drinking water, ensure that we have a food in time, stay healthy, take care of yourself. When you rest well, your mind is at ease and you work better during the day and whenever you're working on a project. So ensure this is definitely a part of your daily life. Sometimes what we tend to do is, when we are trying to work, suddenly, I don't feel like doing this. Let me do it another day. The moment you do that, you are stepping away from a structure, from discipline. So don't wait to feel right about something to start doing it. Start anyway, and you will find that mind to work on it. Of course, it's possible that initially you would be slow. However, when you are at it, you will get into the zone soon. Another important thing to avoid is, don't criticize yourself all the time. But it's like we are our worst enemies. We may say 10 things in front of people. However, in private, when we are with ourselves, we tend to pull ourselves down knowingly or unknowingly. It's good, like I said, know your weakness, but don't beat yourself on it. Don't be overcritical about it. Instead, focus on things that you do right. Focus on your strengths. And in case something goes wrong, again, don't criticize yourself. Try again. Yes, learn from your mistakes. That is more important, because that's action. Okay, something went wrong. Let me deconstruct it. Let me do a postmortem of it, understand where I went wrong, and correct it. You can do the same thing 10,000 times, you will achieve the same result. It's a very well known quote. So, change the way you do things if you want to change your goals, or you want to change what you have set out to achieve. If you are looking for different result, always have goals, plan what you want to do, and when you do that, you have a target to reach. Think about a 100-meter race. There is a end line, so you start at one end, you stay focused on that end line, and you reach there. However, if you said continue running, you'll be like, okay, I can walk also. I don't know in how much time I want to reach there. I don't know where I'm going, so let me just stroll. I am moving ahead, right? Or I'm jogging. So that is going to pull you down if you don't have proper goals. Hence, set goals. Follow a structure or a pattern. This essentially applies to your daily routine. Have a similar routine almost every day, then it becomes a second nature to you. And there would be a lot of things you would achieve without putting too much effort, because you have uh, put in place a structure or a pattern. So your body learns that, okay, I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do so and so, then I have to eat, I need to have some water. And then when that pattern is established, your body will guide you to do the right thing. This is exactly opposite of self-critical. Talk to yourself and pep yourself up. Motivate yourself. If you have done something right, pat your back. It's good to do that. We have been a lot of times, we are conditioned and we are told that, you know what, don't think too much about your success, otherwise you will be massaging your ego. Yes, all of that is fine, don't overdo it, but it is important to appreciate your own efforts and ensure that you continue to motivate yourself. Another thing is, there we have set goals, we have worked on time management, we know this has to be achieved, that has to be achieved, and it suddenly becomes overwhelming. And then you stop working and you stop doing anything. To avoid that, start small. Yes, I have to achieve 10 things, but right now, what are the two things I want to do? When you start small, this is what is called a snowball effect. If you have been to area where there is a lot of snow, a small snowball when thrown down the hill rolls up and becomes a big snow rock. So that would what would happen to you when you start small and achieve those things. You will have more drive and motivation to do more and do bigger things, and that is what will create a snowball effect in your life. And a very important tip for self discipline is ensure that there is a reward for yourself at the end of the tunnel. While I was preparing this presentation, which was a few days back, and I had to put type things in the slide and all of that, and I was like feeling a bit distracted. I wanted to, like, I know what I want to do. I can always create these slides. Probably I should just go chill for some time and maybe watch a movie. That is when I told myself, you want to watch a movie? Great. Do that. But finish this presentation first. Once you have uh, created all the slides, written your notes, you can watch the movie. You can practice this after the movie is over or the next day with a fresh mind. However, ensure that you make this presentation today. So that is how you guide yourself to do better and do more. Now that you have achieved things which you need to do with self, which is inside of you to stay disciplined, it is now time to ensure that you carry it forward and spread it to a larger spectrum. And that is what brings us to the point of work discipline. Another interesting quote over here: there is no magic wand that can resolve our problems. The solution rests with our work and discipline, which means no matter what, we need to continue to work and stay disciplined, and all solutions will come to us no matter what the problem. With that thought, let me take you through the tips you can work when it comes to a work scenario. You could be heading a team, you could be a team member with colleagues to work with. In either case, these tips become useful. If you are a team leader, Ensure that you set clear goals and appraise all about it. If you are a team member, you need to ensure that your other team members are aware of the goals which you have to achieve together. Again, the 100-meter run, it's like a relay race in of sorts, where you all need to know what is the end point you have to reach. And when you do that, you work in tandem with each other, you create structures for all, and that is when you do better and you are able to create that discipline, that structure at your workplace. Always ensure, like, you need to give a pep talk to yourself, not be extra self critical. Similarly, you need to create a positive environment. Either you are a leader or you are a team member, in all situations always have a positive mindset and always radiate positivity, which will make others feel good and create an overall environment which is inclusive for everybody. Even if you are a team member, you can take lead on certain tasks and say, hey, this is my baby, it's my responsibility, and I will ensure that this part of the project is completed by so and so time, and I will hand it over for the rest to take it ahead. When you do that, you are setting an example. As a leader too, you need to set example. That's why we spoke about self discipline first and discipline at work later. You need to lead from front, show them. You can't expect your team to be disciplined when you are not. You cannot expect them to work continuously when you are sitting in the office and are loudly and constantly speaking with somebody, which is a personal call. So if you expect certain things from your team member, you need to show it to them also. It's very important to create motivation for people to stay in the structure. So ensure, as a team leader, you have an incentive plan in place. People should know that when they complete a set or a area of work, what do they achieve at the end of it. It's not necessary that it is monetary incentive plan. It can come in various shapes and sizes. It's up to you to decide what kind of incentive plan you want to create. And finally, ensure that you recognize achievements. When somebody has done something nice, something which impacts the entire organization or the team positively, recognize that achievement and appreciate them. It will go a long way in ensuring that they continue to work with the same dedication and discipline. And talking about dedication, there's something very interesting that comes to my mind. When I was doing my MBA, the key line which our institute had was discipline, determination, dedication. The 3Ds is what we used to call. You need to be disciplined, you need to have the dedication for your work, and you need to be determined to achieve the goals you have set out to, and then there is no stopping you. And finally, at work, ensure that you take feedback from your team. When you do that, you make them feel involved. Not only a very subtle thing which happens over here is that people realize that their voices are being heard. So, not just take feedback and keep it to yourself. If you find something which is implementable, go ahead and put it in practice and acknowledge it, that this was courtesy so and so team member who have given this idea and we are now implementing it. It's again recognizing the effort of other members. It will motivate them more to do better. And then when you take feedback, another thing which happens, which is the underlining thing, that team realizes that they are, not doing things all by themselves. There is a structure in place, and probably things are being noticed. So when things are being noticed, you tend to stay in line more. So these are some of subtle tactics that one can use to stay disciplined and ensure that team stays in line and is disciplined about whatever work they are doing. Again, something interesting for you is discipline is built by consistently performing small acts of courage. Something which I mentioned earlier, take those small steps. Take a small bite of the pie. For example, if you're eating a pudding, you have the plate full in front of you. You don't just gobble up the entire thing in one go. You take spoons of that bite, take your time to finish that particular uh, dish. Similarly, discipline is about consistency. Ensure that you're consistently moving ahead by taking small steps, and that will take you far. In fact, this is what is the area a lot of time people come back to me and say that, you know that I have made goals. I've worked on my time management, and I even started working, and it was going very well initially. Then I went off track. Well, that will happen. Something urgent will come up, and mark it. I said it will come up. I did not say it may come up. So something urgent will come up. You may lose motivation to do things. We all go through this. It's something which invariably happens with everyone. So you understand what is self discipline. You understand discipline at work is important. There are tips which I gave you. However, sometimes there are action points which go missing, or you may start well, however, like I said earlier, lose track, or you are unable to continue with that particular zeal and continue to stay disciplined. And that is the key factor which we need to understand. And that is what I was talking about initially, is ensuring a follow up with yourself to uh, ensure that you stay disciplined, not just for few moments, not just for a few project or for the task at hand, but in general. So here are 5 tips so that you can stay on track when it comes to discipline. I learned them courtesy Terry Foy, and I have used it personally, and it worked. Oh, in fact, few years ago, I had set out to achieve some health goals in a span of 1 year's time, and believe me, it was very difficult. However, I followed these tips. Yes, it was difficult. I kept reminding myself of these tips, and then it all worked out. I was able to achieve what I had set out to do. So, um, the 5 tips I'll begin with. The tip number 1 is decide where you want to reach. Now, that's very important. Make a mental image. We spoke about goals and how to set goals. So that is important. When you have set a goal, create a mental image. We even spoke about creating a vision board when we were talking about goal setting. So they all come into play over here. They help you stay disciplined. So once you have set your goal, decided where you want to reach, created that mental image, It could be a personal image of a new image of self, or at work, what would be the end result you will achieve at the end of the project. When you do that, that is begin with the end result in mind, you will continue to stay on track. Yes, there will be distractions. However, when you continue to have that image in your mind's eye, you will continue in the right direction. It will keep you going. Like we discussed earlier, and the quote we read right now, take small steps but continue to move ahead. More important is that you are stepping ahead, taking one step at least at a time, and not going haywire or stopping altogether. So, even if it is small steps, take them, because you have decided where you want to reach. You know the path you are taking is the right path, even if it is difficult. Tip number two is taking from tip one itself. Keep that image of end result in mind at all times. When I say all times, every day, think of it, and it will motivate you to stay on track. When you start your day in the morning, ensure that you remind yourself where you want to reach. That would do two things. One, motivate you to do better that particular day, and also somewhere be a reality check in case you are going off track. So that is why it is important that you revisit that mental image on a daily basis, every day, and if possible, every few hours. Remember where you want to reach. And when you do that, you will stay on track. Tip number three is look at reminders. You might ask me, of what? Reminder of why you have set out to achieve something. When you set a goal, you had a reason behind it. So think of it, remind yourself of that why. When the why is crystal clear, staying on track will be easier. Like I said, I had a health goal. Why I had the goal was something which I kept reminding myself, and that made me stay on track, pushed me to achieve whatever I wanted to achieve that time. Tip number four, set yourself up for success. Well, this is where time management comes into play. Map out your tasks and put the to do list on the calendar. Ensure that you work daily with your to do list. I have a habit that every day in the morning, I jot down the things I want to achieve today. I have a larger plan where obviously the goal setting comes into the picture, and planning of it as a backward calculation by when what I need to do, that is managing my time on everyday basis or every week basis. Like I told you, that this particular presentation, when I decided to launch these 4 episode series, I planned it up and created the presentation, the scratch, right in first week of January. I already know the main points which I want to cover for the topic I'm going to talk about next week. So you see what that has done. It has made it easy for me to link from one subject to the other tool to the third tool. Today's episode, I've spoken a lot about the previous 2 episodes. The reason is simple, because when I was making the entire presentation, I planned ahead. I had set myself up in a structured manner, so I knew what is going to come where. And you would have noticed I've hardly spoken anything about episode number 4, because we have not reached there till now. If I start talking about the techniques or the tips related to something which I have not covered yet, that would not be the right thing to do, right? Hence, you need to set yourself up for success by ensuring that you create your to do list on a daily basis and work as per that. And the tip number 5 that I have for you is track your progress. When you move ahead and you can see how much you have achieved, you will build the zeal to continue working. There are times in life when you hit a roadblock in your path, and those are the times when you need to look back and appreciate the progress you have made. You can't do that if you're not tracking it. Hence, ensure that you have a document in place which tells you where you have reached and what you have achieved till now. It will make the road ahead look simpler. In fact, there is something which happens, which is normal, which is practical. There will be resistance, because you are trying to do something different. You're stepping out of your comfort zone, and it's absolutely fine, because it takes courage to do that. And this is what brings me to the closing thought for the day. This, I should clarify a lot of things, that yes, discipline and staying in discipline is difficult. However, suffer the pain of discipline, or you will suffer the pain of regret. If you have that understanding, you will never go off track. So that is what all I had for today. However, if you have questions, you could always write to me. My email IDs are Rashie, Rashie dot Sinha at gmail.com, or Rashie, Rashie at theyellowcarcompany.com, and I'll be happy to respond to all your queries. And yes, we speak about so many such things, sometimes we feel lost, and we may feel a bit disoriented, we may have stress. So that is what we would do next week. That is the tool number 4 which I would cover next week, which is stress management. We have put our goals in place, we have worked on our time. Now we have learned how to stay on track and how to be disciplined as far as our own personal environment is concerned, or as far as our work is concerned. And then there would be situations which will add stress in your life. So, how to ensure that you remain stress free is what you will understand better when I come back next week with the final segment of this series, which is the key tools for success. So, next week, I will see you again with the fourth and final episode of the topic, key tools for success. And till then, stay disciplined. Thank you for your time.